What does it take to be the champion of the Tuatha Dé Danann? Well, dag the Evebugus Fáilte. Hi, hello, and welcome. Jon O'Sullivan from the Irish Pagan School. And you might think that that's an easy enough answered question, but it isn't. Because when we're talking about the Tuatha Dé Danann, we are, of course, referring to the tribe who came into Ireland who are known as the gods of Ireland. So, what would it take for a person to exemplify their culture, their combat ability, their skills, their art, their creativity to such a degree that he, amongst all others, was considered champion? Well, the answer from one point, not hard to say, is his name. It is, in fact, Ogma. Ogma is said to be the champion of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and there's a number of different things we need to look at when we consider this position of champion, because it wasn't just, yeah, he's the best or he's the one. It was a culturally significant role that was played within the tribe. So the reason why we need to kind of take a step back first is to consider the Tuatha Dé Danann as a whole. So when we are talking about the Lugh of Éireann, the book of the taking of Ireland, which is our ancient mythology, which speaks about the various tribes coming into Ireland, the Tuatha Dé Danann come in, but there's a forecast or a prophecy, a vision, which is had by Uchud. Uchud, who is the king of the Firbolg, who are in situ at the time. And his druid translates the dream for him. And the words of the druid is that there is a fleet of a ship, a fleet of heroes coming, 1,000 heroes who are skilled in every form of art, keepers of occult knowledge, and that any strain or any conflict against them is irrelevant because they will be victorious in every way. And so the description of the Tuatha Dé Danann as a collective is one that's very fucking impressive. That it's 1,000 heroes, every one of them, a great warrior, skilled in everything, and all of these descriptions, which we see borne out as the Tuatha Dé Danann arrive in, from the three Dini Danann, the three gods of skill, to Nuada, who leads them as the king at that point, to Lugh, known as Lámhada, Long Arm. Like there are so many individuals, of course, not to forget the Dagda and the Morrigan. So within the culture, within the process of those people, champion isn't just something that you just say, ah, yeah, he's a good lad, he's a champion. Like a champion is a function. The role and function of the champion is to be the person to step forward and face any challenge on behalf of the ruling body of their people, on behalf of the tribe. And we see this actually in practice. We see this functionally happen within the narrative of the Tuatha Dé Danann in Ireland. And so I suppose we need to probably go to those examples and really point out where Oma turns up, where he actually provides his function as a champion. And so I suppose what we need to look at is after the first battle on Moytura, the Tuatha Dé Danann arrived to conflict against the Firbolg. Nuada loses his arm. He gets a prosthesis of silver, which gets him his epithet, or Getlove, which is the silver-handed or silver-armed. But he's no longer fit to be king. And what happens then is that the people call together and Bress is selected to be king. So he is Bress, son of Alatha, and he is half Fomorian, half Tuatha Dé Danann. And Bress is not a person in balance with the culture of the island. In fact, he favors the Fomorians more so and puts all the Tuatha Dé Danann, these great champions, these great heroes, he puts them pretty much in indentured servitude. The Dagda ends up digging the trenches to provide security at Rathbresh. Oma himself is set to every day travel and bring firewood back for the great fires that had to be kept burning on Tara in the Hall of Brest all of the time. But as we look at the story, there's all of this information about the roles and positions of the people of the Tuatha Dé Danann are taken up by Fomorians, except one, and that is champion. So in the Hall of the King, there will be different roles, different people who are there as the advisor on medicine, the advisor on magics, druids, cupbearers. There's all these different roles, braziers, woodworkers. There's a lot of them. But champion is one of those particular roles. And so Bress replaces every single Tuatha Dé Danann in the court with a Fomorian, except for Oma. He can't replace Oma. There is no one who can either overcome Oma physically or overcome Oma intellectually, because Oma is not just a big muscle-bound beefcake. He is, in fact, a scholar. He is a poet. He is a bard. He is an intellectual individual. So much so that just because he could, he created an entire script. The first written script that we have in Ireland is named Ogham, and that's Ogham, Ogham. It's not Ogham, and I can understand how people might mispronounce it, but it is in fact Ogham. And he did it just because he wanted to show he could. It wasn't to prove anything other than his own excellence. And it's said in the Ogham Tracts, which is a section of our mythology or a section of our works, that the mother and father of Ogham is Oghma's hand and Oghma's knife, and that Ogham is a manifestation of sound captured within matter. So it's a really, really fascinating feat to have created this. But he's not, again, just this intellectual individual. He's also physical. We see this later when Bress is toppled, Nuala comes back into the courts, having his arm restored. Different story. If you're interested, let me know in the comments and I'll tell you the story of Nuala's arm. Um, but Lugh then arrives to Tara, this Eildonach, he of many interlinked talents. And as he comes into the hall of Nuada, the first person he faces is Ogma, because it's Ogma's right to issue challenge. And so Ogma picks up one of the big boulders from the fire pits and throws it through the wall of Tara, like tears a chunk out of the wall, the wicker wood walls that were the Hall of the King. And that is the test. So Lewis then goes outside, picks up the boulder, throws it back through the same hole, and then picks up the broken pieces of wood and uses his skill and talent to fix it. And so the first task that Alma face is the physical task from the champion of the Tuatha Dé Danann, but he makes right by it and actually restores the wooden walls of Tara, which I think is lovely. But it's that role, it's that function of Alma as champion, which really is interesting to him as a character. Later on, when we get to the Second Battle of Moytura and all of these, the druids, the cupbearers, the sorcerers, they're all promising what labors they're going to bring to the battle to aid Lugh in the conflict with the Fomorian invasion. Alma promises that he will slay 9 kings and their bodyguards. And as much as there's, oh well, I'll rain fire from the sky, I'll hide all the lakes and rivers of Ireland, Alma is like, I am going to collect, I am out to take heads. I will end not just anyone, I will end kings. And then in the aftermath of the Second Battle of Moytura, we see him sitting, having picked up a sword from one of the Fomorian kings, a guy called Tethra, and he goes through a ritual process of cleansing the sword. And it says that the sword then tells upon Oma the deeds and the tasks of its past, which is a lovely expression of in a aftermath of a battle. Oma is sitting there cleaning this off, and he's learning the story and the knowledge that from the experiences of the sword itself. So there's a lot of really fascinating, a lot of really interesting and amazing things about Oma as a deity, and not just him in his own function, but in his role within the culture, the importance of that, and really to answer that question, what does it take to be a champion amongst the Tuatha Dé Danann? It takes something rather particular. It takes something rather unique. And the answer, not hard to say, I suppose, the thing that it takes to be champion is in fact Oma. So if you found that interesting, I did a class on introducing to Oma. I've covered it in a couple of pieces here in brief, but I do deep dive into it, and I'll stick the link down below if you want to get into that there at the Irish Pagan School. Until next time, look after yourself, take care, agus slán. Goodbye.